How's it going, everybody? This is Beat the Bush. Today I'm going to compare these two high bay lights. This one is a Lumary and this one is the HyperLite UFO. The Lumary is quite a bit more expensive, but it also has a lot more features compared to the HyperLite. For one, you can control the Lumary with the remote or via the app via Bluetooth. And you can control up to 200 of these lights via Bluetooth mesh. The mesh means that you only need to reach one of them, and as long as there's another light that's within wireless distance, it can daisy chain itself through a really vast distance. So let's take a close look at the comparison between these two. There are two types of LEDs in the Lumary. This allows it to change the color temperature. 240 of these yellow type ones and 240 of these orange looking ones. The total you see here is 480 LEDs. In the HyperLite, if you count them all, each ring of the LEDs, it goes by 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 35, and 40. Add them all up is 210 LEDs. The LEDs themselves are a little bit smaller. So definitely if you need to change the color temperature once in a while, sure, go with that one. But if you know which color temperature you always want to stay at, this is a cheaper option. In the Lumary, there's actually a lens across all the LEDs. If you can see the LEDs, it means you can see the light. If I start tilting it this way, look it up here. You can no longer see the LEDs, which means it's not gonna send light that way. Finally, if I tilt it a lot, almost all of the LEDs cannot be seen. That means light is not gonna go sideways like this, wasting your light. So most of the light is gonna be directed downwards rather than sideways. In the HyperLite, there's no lens whatsoever, and so the light is not gonna be as directed towards the ground. The radiation pattern of each of these LEDs is pretty wide, therefore you're gonna get a lot of light leakage towards the sides. The tops of these lights looks very similar. Both of these are 150 watts, but let's double check its consumption. The Lumary runs around 153 watts. The HyperLite runs around 147. Close enough, 150 watts for both of them. The hook itself looks a little bit more rounded than on the HyperLite. It may or may not matter to you that it's more polished. I do like the safety hook in the HyperLite. Currently, Lumary does not supply a safety hook. The Lumary's brightness is controlled by the app. Let's go into the app. You change the brightness with this little bar over here, 10%, 98%, 100%, and also the color temperature. You can have it very yellow or very cool, and it also has a timer function, so you can always tell it to turn on at a certain time and turn off at a certain time. The HyperLite only has one color temperature, that's 5000 K. You cannot change it, and if you want to dim it, you need a dimmer by supplying a 0 to 10 volt dimmer signal through these leads here. 0 volts actually still has a little bit of light. 1.5 volts, 7, 10 volts. That should be maximum brightness right there. And if I just open it up, it stays high. If I drive it low and then just disconnect, it goes to maximum brightness. A neat trick that you can do with these high bay lamps is to remove the screws. I had a need to install one of these in a very narrow space. Of course, after you remove the screws, you still need to secure these so that in case it falls, it doesn't fall on anyone's head. But this is the driver module. And now you can see how the height clearance is much shorter. We're gonna measure the lumen outputs of both lights. Turn off all the other lights so I don't get any light leakage from other light sources. 34.0. And we just measure in 6-inch increments. 32, 23.4, 11.68, 4.8, 2.2, 1.14. And now we do the same thing with the other light, 23.0. 20.9, 15.3. At 54 inches, it's still 0.69 kilolux, 690 lux. It's gonna keep on going, but let's analyze the data and see what we have so far. I took the lux readings every 6 inches in concentric circles. You sum up all the light that lands in these areas, and then you get your lumen. For the Lumary, I got 24,800 lumens. For the HyperLite, I got 24,100 lumens. The purpose of these measurements is to get around a ballpark within maybe 1,000 or 2,000 lumens, and I'm pretty happy with that. So it says 22,000 lumens and 21,000 lumens. The brightness is verified. Keep in mind that I'm not actually measuring all the brightness outside of 54 inches. So all that light leakage, although small, I'm not adding those in. It's already over 22,000 lumens, so I'm okay with this. At 20,000 kilolux, this is around outside sun brightness, not the brightest of the day, but you would consider this basically daylight. The HyperLite in the green is actually quite a bit lower. However, we're getting around the same lumens. That's because the donut-shaped circles, the area of those gets bigger and bigger. So although the green line is quite a bit lower for the HyperLite, the total light output remains roughly the same. For the HyperLite, you're getting a lot less intensity right underneath the light, whereas on the Lumary, it concentrates it a lot more. This becomes very important when these lights are hung very, very high above, like in a warehouse, because all this light that's just going sideways, it's not hitting where people needs it to be bright. So although the brightness is 24,000 lumens, it's wasting a lot of it towards the walls. I've let these run for about half an hour and the temperature has stabilized. The Lumary tops out at around 127 degrees Fahrenheit with an ambient of 60 degrees. The HyperLite is slightly cooler, but it's quite hot towards the center. If I peek in there, it's around 122 degrees, whereas towards the outer fin is around 115 or so. The temperature is more even on the Lumary because the fins reach all the way across the light. In the HyperLite, the fins end right here, so there's little cooling towards the center. I think they can improve on this if they extend the fin all the way inside. And for the Lumary, they can improve on this by making the fin a little bit longer. I hope you guys enjoyed the analysis of these high bay lights. If you're interested in getting either of these, maybe you actually want the light to spread out more, you can go with the HyperLite, or if you enjoy all the wireless features and the more concentrated light, you can go with the Lumary. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to give me a like and subscribe for more.